Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Basir Pirzada, Principal Broker with Client First Real Estate. Sam, can you hear me? Okay, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me good. Very good. A brief introduction for myself. I'm a Principal Broker with Client First Real Estate, and the brokerage name is Pirzada Ventures LLC. We are a Houston-based real estate brokerage firm. Let me add some more folks who are joining in. As they join in, I'll add them. We are joined by Rain Bolton Company, which is a property tax consulting firm in Houston, and in Harris County, Fort Bend County, Montgomery, and surrounding counties. Sam Pack is the chief consultant at Rain Bolton Company, and we're very fortunate to have him with us. As people join in, I'll add them in to make it run smoothly, and so everyone has answered opportunity to hear everything Sam's going to cover. He's going to share some screens. I have muted everyone. You can put down your questions in the chat group or send it directly to Sam in the chat line by choosing his name, and he will answer those questions in the Q&A session. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sam to start. So let me pin you. There you go, Sam, you're on. Sam, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Pack, and I am a property tax consultant with Rain Bolton Company. And Basir has asked me to come on and answer some questions, do a quick presentation about what's going on. Our job is to represent property owners every year against the appraisal district to fight the property value, so it reduces that value, which in turn reduces your tax burden. In 2 sentences or less, that's what we do. So what I was going to do first was go over a kind of a market report that's published by the appraisal districts, so you can kind of understand where they're getting their numbers from. Then I'll go into what you can do about it, and then I'll do a Q&A. You can type your messages over here in the chat, and I'm even happy to, if you want to volunteer your address, I can look it up and I can share the screen. Basir's volunteered his address, so I'm going to use his as an example when we're doing that. So we're a firm. We support Harris County, Fort Bend County, Brazoria, Galveston, and Montgomery. I am going to share my screen and show a few of their websites to show how to help you navigate those websites and understand the terminology, which this year specifically is important. So I'm going to share my screen here. First, I'm going to go over the market report that was published by Fort Bend County. But keep in mind, whether you're Fort Bend, Harris, Brazoria, Montgomery, all of the, as far as the numbers in these market reports, they're almost all the same. So, Basir, do you want to allow me to share my screen, and then I'll go over it?
Okay. There you go. You should be on.
Okay. Okay. So this is a 32-page market trends report that was published by Fort Bend County just about a month ago, and this is available to anyone on their website here, which is fbcad.org. We'll get into this a little later. Like I said, it's a 32-page report, but some of the common trends and why you've seen such a large increase this year are mainly due to low interest rates in 2021. A lot of people think it's the COVID effect, people moving out of town, that has something to do with it. But really, low interest rates, I would point to being the #1 factor for these large increases. There are a lot of people getting 2.5% and 2.75% interest rates on a 30-year mortgage. So when money's that cheap, you can buy a lot more house, and that is what is causing, what's really causing these the home prices to rise. Construction costs, inflation, economic stimulus from the federal government. Those are all factors, but I'm gonna highlight this as being the number one factor. I am not going to go through this entire PowerPoint. I am just going to show you a couple things that, yes, this is Fort Bend, but this is the exact same thing that's happening in Harris and every other county around Greater Houston. So residential property overview. The average residential property in the Greater Houston area has increased by about 30% year over year. Median for homesteads 28%. That's still a large increase. To put that in perspective, the last 5 years, the average increase has probably been about 8 or 9%, and never even more than 10. But then it jumped all the way to 31. So this is off the charts on the extreme end of a high increase. Same thing with land. Land goes along with that. Low inventory, strong demand. Retail, warehouses, industrial properties, apartments. All property is up across the board. This is what I'm going to go back to this page. Page 12, which is available as soon as you go on Fort Bend's website. But keep this number in mind because we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that later. So a lot of you have seen, and Basir has volunteered us to look at his to look at his property. So I'm going to show you Fort Bend's website. We're also going to do Harris County. This is fbcad.org. So to look at your value, you're going to go here, fbcad.org, click on property search, and then you're going to type in your property. So I'm going to make up address here. Once you type in your address, it will come up. Click on it. This would be your account info page. First thing we're going to talk about is terminology. On the Fort Bend website, this is listed as the appraised value and the assessed value. In Fort Bend, this column right here is what they think you could have sold your home for on January 1st, 2022. So this is equivalent with market value here. On Harris County's website, I'll go over this one in a minute. It's called market value. So if you're in Harris County, it's market and appraised. Appraised is what you get taxed on. Market is what they think you could have sold your home for on January 1st. And Fort Bend, it's appraised and assessed. In Montgomery County, it's also the same thing, appraised and assessed. So keep that in mind when I'm discussing this. Here we have a property roll value history. As you can see, not a lot of value change from 2015 to 2021. And if you're in Fort Bend, that's similar across the board. Now we have this huge jump from 274 to 325. Why is this assessed number different than this one? And what is this number here? Most of you are seeing this. The reason there is a gap here, that is called a homestead cap loss. This particular property is a homestead. It has a homestead exemption, and 302 is exactly 10% on top of 274. If you're homesteaded, the maximum increase you can take on your appraised value or assessed value here is 10%. But sometimes the market increases more than that, like it did this year. So that's what creates this gap. Here's the market value, here's the assessed. There is a $23,000 difference between the two. So this number here, 302, is the number that you are being taxed on, not this number. So you can only take 10% on here. Remember that. What does that mean when you go to fight the taxes? When you go into the hearing, your starting point is 325. You have to make a case to get below 302 before you start to see any type of savings on your tax bill. Once this number here falls in line with this number, they then fall in line together, and that's where you see a tax savings. Below and every other year from 2021 on down, all of these numbers were the same because the market didn't increase that much or at all. So any reduction that was given at the hearing, this property owner would have gotten a savings. But you can make a case here to get this number from 325 down to 305, and that would put you in a better spot next year. But it's not going to save you money. It's not going to save you money this year. Which brings us to the next point. The question I've gotten a lot is, if I protest the taxes, what? And I'm probably not going to save money. Well, what's the point? The point is, if you do nothing, you're guaranteed to take another increase next year because this assessed value is going to continue to increase at a rate of 10% until it catches up with the appraised value. In this case, it's not a 10% increase to get to here, but let's look at another property in Harris County. There's a lot of these in Fort Bend. 376 last year, took an increase all the way to 516, but 10% on top of 376 is 414. So this person has to go from 516 and make haste to get below 414 before they receive any savings. If this property owner here in Harris County does nothing and they roll the values next year, they're going to continue to take another 10% increase every year on top of 414 until it gets to 516 or higher. So 414, 414,000, 10% on top of that, 455. We're still not to 516 yet. So now 2 years in a row, you're going to take another 10% increase times 10% again, 500. We're still not to 516. By then, this number is probably even going to go even higher. So what you're really fighting for this year, especially in 2022, is to put you in a better spot for next year. Back to Fort Bend, and you can see these numbers didn't change that much. These values are not going to continue to increase by 30% year over year. The market's not going to support it. Last year, we were at 2.75% interest rates, sometimes even 2.5%. Interest rates are already back up to 5.5%. So that is really, we're already starting to see some of the sales slow down. So that is that's what's going on in the market. I know I talked a lot about Fort Bend. Harris County also has their market report as well, which shows all the same data. So that is what's going on in the market. Now, what questions can I answer, Basir?
So what is the process when you talk about if someone approaches you to protest their property taxes? Let's use me as an example. I know Monday is the deadline.
Right.
So it has to be filed Monday by 5 p.m.
Right. Monday, May 16th is the deadline to file the protest. Correct.
Right. So what's the process? We can do this online. Do we have to come into your office? And what is how much do we have to pay, or do we not pay anything until we see any savings? So those basics.
That's a good question. I will share my screen again. I'll go to our website for those if you want to understand how we work. This is our website here. It's rainboltco.com. We're basically a turnkey service. So we handle everything from start to finish. So we will file the protest, schedule the hearing, build the case, handle the hearing, and once we're done, we'll let you know. We'll let you know by email. We really only require our clients to sign 2 documents. One is the agreement. The other is the appointment of agent form, which is a state form that you sign, and we file it with the county. It lets them know that we're allowed to represent you. So starting our website, you just click Get Started Now and select the county. 6607 Scarlett, Maple Court, find property, found it, you selected address. I'm done adding properties right here. To get the, doing a promo code this evening, to get a discount on your fee this year, put referral and then put Sam 100. I'm going to put that in the chat. I'll put that in the chat later. So this is rainboltco.com to get started. The way I'm going to go over our fees, like and how we operate. So for this property here, we work most of the properties, the residential properties this year, we're doing on a market cap agreement, which is so we charge $3.50 per thousand that we get the market number reduced. If we're somehow able to get the assessed value reduced, then it switches to a contingency fee. So what does that mean? A contingency fee means, like, if we're to get this number 302 down to 282, that's a $20,000 reduction in assessed value. So you take 20,000 multiplied times the tax rate, which is about 2.5%, which would be a $500 savings to the property owner. And our fee would be 45% of that, which is $225. So in that sense, like, it's kind of like a win-win for both parties, or nothing happens. Sometimes there might be a case where we go from 325 down to 305, which does not save this person money, but it puts them in a better spot. It puts them in a better spot for next year. So there is a chance that someone would incur a fee this year and not save money. And we've gotten the question a lot, well, what's the point in doing that? And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where, you know, if you do nothing, you're just guaranteed to keep taking 10% year over year until it catches up with market value. Also, the data point of last year's value holds weight in a hearing. So if we get this number here down to 300, and the appraisal district tries to come up with another value next year, like 370, that is unjustified, then we can argue last year's value in a hearing. Because if they're trying to compare you to sales that are not comparable, or stuff that's outside of your neighborhood, we can say that there's not enough to justify this increase, therefore it should be at last year's value. Well, if last year's value is 325, that doesn't really help you. But if we got it down to 300, then that's going to help. That's going to help you next year. So always getting this market value down here is it will help you in years to come, because it lowers the baseline. So that's how we bill. I will also put that in the chat. Again, it's $3.50 per thousand to get this number lowered. But if we're able to get the assessed value lowered, then it switches over to a contingency fee. That's rainboltco.com. Again, it's a full service, it's turnkey. We do everything for you. Now, what if some people want to handle this themselves? They want to do the hearing themselves. That's fine too. But I can't find comps. So where do I go? We have another website that is propertytaxreduction.com. And what you can do is put in your address here, which is, I'm gonna use the same one we've been doing. You can put in your address, or you can put in your CAD reference ID number. So I'm going to put in my email address, and then let's see if it finds let's see what happens. So based on our data, this is a good example. I'm glad this happened. Based on our data, this is the savings that we think could possibly happen this year. This is the appraisal district's initial value, 730. This is the value supported by comparables. Purchase and build report, review order, and checkout. These reports are $59.95, and I will type in the promo code to get $10 off. Type in Sam. You can buy this at any time before your hearing. There's no deadline. There's no deadline on this, but I'm going to show you what these reports are. So here's the report. What it does. So we scrape the entire neighborhood. These are all the neighbors that, and we've adjusted all of the improvements to come up with what we think the best value is. Also, here are our comparable sales that will help support this number at 310. We also have a map of where we pulled all of these sales. These adjustments that we're using is the exact same model that the appraisal district uses for their adjustments. Some of you might go in there just trying to adjust square footage. They adjust a lot more than that. Land, size of the home, year built, grade, all of that is factored in here. So this is a real number that they will listen to. Again, that's propertytaxreduction.com if you want to do it yourself. Rainboltco.com if you want the full service, if you don't want to deal with it, if you want a professional to handle this for you. Propertytaxreduction.com if you want to do it yourself. I'll put the promo codes in the chat. The promo code for property tax reduction is SAM for Rainbolt Co. For the full service, type in SAM 100. So that's essentially how to get signed up. Basir, back to you.
Thank you, Sam. So I see there's some questions popping up in the chat line.
Yeah, these are good. First question, is it worth using a tax service company like yourself versus just protesting the case yourself? I know the appraisal district also offers a settlement. Should one just take that settlement offer or go to the hearing? Great question. When we handle it from start to finish, we get two chances at it. There's an informal hearing and then a formal hearing. A lot of our best work comes at an informal hearing, because that's us working one-on-one with an appraiser, and we can present sales. And if we find good sales to justify a low number, we can agree on that number and then move on. If that's something you can also do yourself, then whatever number they give you or they give us, we know if it's a good number or not, because we have all of this data that I just showed you. It's almost, for us, it's almost like playing blackjack with the cards face up, because we know what's a good number. But we have to be coded to your account in order to have access to that evidence packet. And you only have a certain amount of time to accept or deny that offer. So if you do it informally yourself and they offer you a number, that could be a good number, but we don't know that because we don't have access to that evidence packet. It's going to be difficult for you as a property owner to know if that's a good number or not. So that's the benefit of using a service like us. Not only do we do everything for you, we know what the entire bell curve is of the neighborhood, and we can help keep you on the low end of that range. So another important thing, the second part of that question, I know the appraisal district also offers a settlement. So just take that settlement offer and go to the hearing. If they offer you a number that you don't like, that is a take it or leave it deal. That number is now off the table. If you're at 325, like we were just looking at, and they only offer you 310, 310 might not look like a good number to you, but based on all of our data that we just saw, 310 is a pretty solid number. We don't have any sales that support a number below that. But if you pass that number up, now you're back at 325 when you go back to the ARB hearing, the appraisal review board. And if you can't make a case to get below 325, then you're going to be stuck with that number. So that is a take it or leave it. Those informal offers that you're talking about is a take it or leave it deal. Next question. In our website, my address is not recognized. If that's the case, send me an email. I will put my email down here. I will find it and get back to you. What are some helpful hints when protesting to the ARB? Helpful hints would be sales are probably the strongest argument. However, that is a case-by-case basis because it depends on the property. If it's a 1972 built home that has a lot of problems, needs a new roof, there's a lot of things we could come up with a lot of repairs that need to be done that would be relevant in that case. But if it's a newer home, it's probably that argument's probably going to be more sales heavy. So that would be some helpful hints. But more importantly, that's a case by case basis. What's the cost of using our services? Our fees vary depending on the property. We do a handful of $80,000 condos, and we do some $15 million office buildings. So and everything in between. So we do a lot of commercial. So normally those are done on a contingency fee, but our standard contingency or standard fee for a residential property is a 45% contingency fee. That example again, if we get a $20,000 reduction in value, you take that reduction in value, 20,000, multiply it times the tax rate of about 2.5%, but it would be exact when we calculate our fee. But for the sake of numbers, I'll just use simple math. So 20,000 times the tax rate of 2.5% would be a $500 savings to the client, and our fee is 45% of that, which is $225. So, but if we fail in that case, then there's no fee for our service. If you have a gap in market and appraised, that's a market cap. Then we would do a market cap agreement where we charge $3.50 per thousand to lower the market number. Let's see. What else, Basir? Next question. Does showing property damage or repairs help reduce the assessed value? If so, when would you present this? At the informal hearing or when you file the protest initially? Another good question. The act of filing the protest, which is the deadline's May 16, that's just filing the protest. That just says, hey, I disagree with this number. Put me on the schedule for the hearing. You don't have to show the property damage or repairs then. But if you are going to show property damage or repairs, my suggestion would be to show pictures of that damage and then show a quote or bid estimate to get that number to fix that problem. That way you can, you have a picture, you have a visual of the problem, and you're also able to quantify it. But I would also emphasize the importance of thinking about function when talking about those problems or damage. An example of that would be, let's say your roof is leaking. So your roof is no longer performing its function. Most roofs, call it $15,000 to $20,000 to get the job done. It's usually covered by insurance, but let's call that a $15,000 or $20,000 job. If that roof is no longer performing its function, a lot of times you can get that full value off of the market value. Same thing with foundation. Foundation's cracked and crumbling. Then, if that's a $5,000 or $10,000 job, a lot of times they'll give you that full value off of the market value. On the opposite end of the spectrum, let's say that, let's say that your kitchen cabinets, you want new kitchen cabinets, but the current kitchen cabinets you have hold dishes just fine. They're still performing their function. So they're not going to give you that full bid for kitchen cabinets off of the, off of the value. So that's kind of like a, two opposite ends of the spectrum on what to think about when presenting damage or repairs. Let's see here. I'm going to share my email again. Let's see here. I'll put my email address on there again for you guys. How much does SAM 100 represent on the 45% charge? The SAM 100 promo code for rainboltco.com reduces it from 45% to 35%. So it's a 10% off the contingency fee. So it's really like a, it's really like a 25% discount on your fee. Good questions. Good questions. Keep in mind the deadline is May 16th. That's a Monday. I would not wait until the last minute to do this.
So Sam, so I guess the next steps would be, where do we go from here? We can go on your website and start the process from there, or email you directly?
You can go on our website to rainboltco.com. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. It's also right here behind me. Rainboltco.com is our website. That's for anyone who wants full service, meaning we handle it from start to finish.
There's another question in the chat line.
Okay. If you've already filed to protest your case yourself and later decide to use your services, can one still go to you, or is it too late? Yes, you can. We can still pick up the baton in the middle and take it from there. Just let us know where you are in the process, because some people have not had an informal meeting, an informal hearing yet. And if that's the case, then we can do that for you. Our chances of success pretty much double if we're able to handle both here, the informal and the formal hearing. So keep that in mind. If you get a number you don't like at the informal hearing and you deny it, and then ask us to do the formal hearing with the appraisal review board, we can do it, but our chances of success do drop. because it totally depends on what that board decides. So no, it's not too late. We can file a protest all the way up until 5 p.m. on Monday, the 16th. Let's see. Next question. What are some of the scams out there that we should be aware of from other tax service providers? I don't know, like, I don't know much, like, really about the scams, but I do think there's certain people that do value knowing who they're working with. And what separates us at Rainbolt & Co. versus someone else is there's 5 of us in here. We're all licensed property tax consultants. We answer the phone. We answer your questions. 80% of our business is in Harris County. Our office is right here in Sugar Land. We're all local, and we can answer any of your questions. And so we also prepare our own cases. So we are inherently familiar with what's going on with your property before we go into the hearing. A lot of other firms, they have admin staff that prep the cases, and then they just hand a big stack to the agent who goes into the hearing. They've never seen it before. So I'm not defining that as a scam. I'm just saying that the service is different. It's a little more personalized. So I hope that answers your question. The next question: how would you differentiate yourself from others? What's the success rate percentage and the size of the average production? I think hopefully I just answered that, Brennan, about how we differentiate ourselves from others. The success rate percentage and the size of the average reduction. Good question. In Harris County, our success rate is about 90%, but as far as the size of the average reduction, that varies too much to comment on. That's a case-by-case basis, but I would say around 7 or 8% in that neighborhood. Once we are coded to the account and then we have access to their evidence, we can look at it, see what we think is attainable, see what we think is a fair number, and then we're happy to have that conversation with you, beforehand. I have no problem telling you that you don't have a good case this year. I would rather have that conversation now than after the fact. So, am I still sharing? Oops.
Yeah, you should be able to share. Yes.
Hang on, I'm gonna stop share. Okay, can you see me okay?
I can see you, but not your screen.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I thought something happened, but we're good. Let me look at some of these other questions. What signed up just now? What's the next step, and how many days from now do we hear back? So signed up, great. You should get an email confirmation once you sign up with a link to our client portal, where you can sign the appointment of agent form. That's a state form that you sign it. We file it with the appraisal district and lets them know we're allowed to represent you. There's also a property info request where we will we'll ask you for some site specific details about your property. That could help us in the hearing. Once you sign up now, we'll file the protest for you. We'll be in a holding pattern for a few weeks, waiting on the appraisal district to schedule the hearings. The hearings happen usually June, July, August, and have everything wrapped up by the end of the summer. And then your new tax bill, or your tax bill you get in December, is going to be based on that lower number instead of the initial value that you got in the mailbox in April. Let's see. Will the appraisal district inspect our commercial or residential property if we protest? The act of filing a protest does not trigger an inspection from the appraisal district. They're on a schedule to inspect your property, and if they come out, it's random, you know, like every few years. Harris County has 1.6 million parcels that they have to get to. They don't get to it every year. Sometimes they only get to it once every 10 years. If you're remodeling or pulling permits, that will trigger an inspection, and those notes are shared with the appraisal district. What's the success rate in Fort Bend? Less than Harris County, probably 75 or 80%. Harris is 90. The reason for that is Fort Bend is, the rate, I'd say property values in Fort Bend are steadily rising, I would say faster than Harris County. And so there's not as much favorable data to work with in Fort Bend than there is in Harris. So hopefully that answers your question. Can we use the code when you sign up online? Yes, you can. Put SAM100 in the referral. That will give you 10% off the contingency fee. And put SAM on property tax reduction if you need a report. Next question. My market value and appraised value is the same. I have not previously declared it a homestead. How can I do this? Is it too late? No, it's not too late to declare it a homestead. And you can still do it. I'll show you on the website. Here, let's go to Fort Bend. Let's go to the home page. So this is different on everyone, but here's the homepage for Fort Bend CAD. Right here at the top, click Homestead, and you create an account, and you start here. That's for Fort Bend. For Harris County, I'll show you that one. For Harris County, it's down here, exemption forms. And actually, you know what? I'll do this. For Harris County, I'm going to put this in the chat. That's a seamless doc for Harris County. You can click on that and file a homestead. If you have not filed a homestead, but you've lived in the home, there's a section in there that says date you occupied the property, or date you acquired the property, and date you began occupying the property. You can put that date on there, and you can go back up to 3 years. So if you lived there for 5 years and have forgotten to do the homestead, you can get a refund. You can get a refund back for the last, for the last 3 years. So there's the link for Harris County. Fort Bend County does not have a link like that, but it's at the top of their homepage on their website. Also, so here, if your market and appraised value is the same, that means any reduction you get in the protest hearing this year is going to save you money. That market cap that we were talking about earlier with the gap between the assessed and appraised, that is only going to happen on homesteaded properties. Any rental property, commercial property, office building, there's never going to be a homestead cap loss. So any reduction you get on any other property besides a homestead will save you money.
Very good, Sam. Thank you so much for your time. You really covered it in great detail.
Good.
You answered a lot of questions. Thank you so much for all the folks who joined us. I know it was a very informative education for myself, and I'll definitely be calling you to follow up. Again, Rainbolt and Company, rainboltco.com. SAM100 is the discount code, and your phone number is back there on the wall in your background, 713-338-2308. Everyone has Sam's email, Sam Pack, consultant with Rainbolt and Company. And it looks like I am not seeing any more questions coming in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to the next hour or so. Oh, there's a new question come in. I'll post the video of this on Facebook as well as on the WhatsApp contacts that I have for all of my folks and all the folks attending as well, so they can share it. You'll probably get a lot of views. So that's it. I really thank everyone. Thank you, Sam, and we'll be in touch.
Basir, yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. You guys call anytime. I'll put the number in here too. 713-338-2308 is our office. Let me put that. I didn't put that in everyone. Yeah, 713-338-2308 is our office. Call us if you have questions or email me. You guys have a great night.
Very good. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.